Hey there, I'm author Sarah A. Chrisman.
And I'm Gabriel Chrisman.
And today we're going to do a book review of Maud's Diary. This is Maud, the Illustrated Diary of a Victorian Woman. This is a real diary that was written in the late 19th century and was later edited and published. So let's begin by talking a little bit about how a diary is different from a novel and why diaries are so interesting and such an important window into people's lives.
Yeah. So novels are, intentionally created. They fit into a standard sort of storyline. They have to have sort of a regular plot that people will recognize. And usually they fall into some sort of genre.
And they usually follow Campbellian tropes.
Yes.
You have the hero's journey. Mm-hmm. You have the boy who sets out from his home to conquer some problem, and he encounters difficulties along the way, yes, until he becomes the hero.
Right. But diaries are different. Diaries are ideally a real person's own thoughts, recollections, and just...
well, they're always a real person. That's what makes it a diary.
Yes, they are a real person. Most of the time. There are things that have been published as diaries that were actually fictions.
But those are novels posing as diaries.
Correct.
It's different. It's very different.
I'm talking about real diaries.
We're talking about real diaries here.
Yes. And real diaries give you a window into everyday life. Mm-hmm. That's what they do at the absolute best. And they don't have to have a story or a plot line. Most
In fact,
people's
they generally
lives
don't.
Right.
Yeah, real life does not have a thought-out plot.
Right.
That's not how real life works.
Yes. And so diaries are really, really good at giving you a picture of real life.
Right. One of the most famous is Samuel Pepys' diary.
Yes.
He was an obsessive diarist, and it is through his diaries that we have some of the best views of his time. Mm-hmm. But let's get back to Maud. So
this one is a particularly wonderful diary, especially because it's exactly during the period of history that we love the most.
Right.
The 1880s and 90s. Mm-hmm. It's written and drawn, and this is the key element, by a woman who lived in the south of England. Mm-hmm. And not only was she a diarist who wrote all sorts of interesting details, she illustrated them. Mm-hmm. And so they have wonderful drawings and watercolors and paintings that she added to her diary on a daily basis. And therefore, it is an incredible window into the time.
Yeah, and she was not anyone who became famous. This is just a young woman growing up. She didn't later marry a prime minister. She didn't
become a famous artist, which is kind of amazing.
She did, well, because she's a beautiful artist.
Yes.
She didn't discover something that then became incredibly popular. This was just an average woman, very much like the people who are watching this video right now. So this is, if you were living in the late 19th century in England...
and we're in the middle class.
And we're in the middle class. Mm-hmm. She's kind of upper middle class.
Yes, yeah.
If she were lower than that, she wouldn't have had time to make all these drawings.
Right.
But if you were living in England at the time and you were in the upper middle class, this is pretty much what your life would have been like.
Yes.
Which is fascinating. It's really fascinating.
And the little details are just some of the best things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things about diaries, is that people will write things in diaries that were of minimal importance in the grand scheme of things, but they were important details of everyday life. No novelist would bother putting these in because they're not particularly, they don't drive the plot. But they really give you an image of what people's lives were really like.
Right, and these are the sort of details that life is made out of. Like, there's a bit in here where she's reading in bed at night, and it's summer, so she has her window open, and a moth comes in. And, it's funny. If you've never been in a dark room with a candle and seen a really big moth coming at you, it's hard to understand just how frightening a moth can be.
Yes.
But they startle you. They're very surprising when all of a sudden, out of the dark, comes this whap against your face because the moth is trying to get at the flame. And so there's an incident where that happens to her, and she is then trying to chase the moth back out with an umbrella, which she, in her little dialect, is not even calling an umbrella, she's calling it a husband beater.
Yes.
Which is rather funny. But you can tell from the picture she's drawn that what she's talking about is an umbrella. There's another incident where she rides a high-wheel tricycle for the first time.
And for me, that's particularly interesting because most of the things that you read from that era about bicycles and tricycles are written for and by enthusiasts. But in this case, we have someone who is not particularly interested in bicycles or tricycles, giving an impression of what people who weren't into bicycles and tricycles thought of them at the time. And that is really interesting to find.
Right. And her musical predilections, she played the banjo.
Which is surprisingly popular in England at the time.
Right.
Yes.
And it was especially popular for ladies. Go figure. And there are some pictures in here where she is serenading her cat because no one else will listen to her. Everyone else is sick of hearing her practice, so she's just playing her banjo for her cat, and the cat does not seem very enthused either. So all these fun little vignettes of life in this little town, seaside town where she lives, and they give a wonderful view. It's a much better, much more accurate view than you'll get from something like God's Preserve Us, Downton Abbey. Or any of the other video or film adaptations of the era.
Anything that is a drama is trying to dramatize everything, which means to exaggerate and eliminate things that don't fit with their plot. And this is, again, just a sort of an actual view into what was going on, what was important in their lives, what was interesting, what was not.
Right. Here's a bit where she's reading to her dogs because her friend has fallen asleep. And so these little everyday things that are very fun.
Yes.
And, the French style kisses upon parting from the friend.
So this is one that we have encountered. I don't think it's still in print.
But there are used copies.
There are plenty of used copies around. And anyone who's interested in this era and in understanding more about everyday life for the Victorians, I think this is one of the best possible resources you could find.
Yes, absolutely. So we highly recommend it. I think the kiddies give it 4 paws up. And we hope you'll check it out. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a nice thumbs up. And remember to tell your friends about my books. Happy reading!